What if I could guarantee that your wedding favours don't get left behind at the end of the night? In this episode, I'm joined by Charlotte from Beddoes Illustrations. She is a live wedding illustrator who specialises in doing stunning watercolour portraits of your guests and you in front of you on the day. She creates in real time a wedding favour, an experience, and a keepsake all in one. Today, you're going to learn how Charlotte has brought this trending wedding service from TikTok and the United States to weddings in Adelaide and beyond. Her process of capturing each guest's style and personality in just minutes during cocktail hour, plus some of the heartwarming reactions of wedding guests and couples when they see themselves in watercolour form. Charlotte also shares what's next and gives her tips on the qualities you need to look for in an illustrator and watercolour artist to make sure that they're not only going to do the work, but are also going to add to the atmosphere and vibe of your wedding day. Let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro-wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. Hi, Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. So excited.
Absolutely delighted to chat with you. Just before we came on, we were just talking about that you were at the Longview Open Day yesterday and how beautifully that went.
Yeah.
But this is a bit weird because this is also your first podcast, right?
It is. Yeah, I've never been on a podcast before. So this is very new and exciting.
Well, yeah, it makes sense because, of course, what you do is visual,
Yeah.
which is a little bit tricky, but we're going to try and do our best. So maybe if you could just explain a little bit about what you do, Charlotte.
Yeah. So I'm a live wedding illustrator. So at the moment on weekends, I am attending weddings and illustrating wedding guests, and then they get to take on a little illustration of themselves as the wedding favour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not just drawings, right?
No, they're little watercolour illustrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like they're little portraits. They're beautiful little colourful gifts.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen a lot of this done at weddings in the past, which is what piqued my interest when we met at the Manor.
Yeah.
So where did you get the idea of doing these live illustrations with wedding guests during cocktail hour?
Yeah. So I originally saw it in America, on TikTok. Other people were doing it there. So I had a look in Adelaide to see if there was anyone doing it. Already being an artist in the arts community, I wanted to get to know someone who was doing something that was so cool. And when I was having a look, I couldn't really see many people doing it or posting about it, especially in Adelaide. So I thought I was doing something similar. I may as well bring it to Adelaide to weddings. It's a bit of fun.
But I mean, okay, so maybe as well, Charlotte, you could explain what your past life is like, because you have been doing illustrations, but black and white, right, for quite a
Yes.
while.
Yeah. So I think it's probably about 6 years now that I've been creating realistic pencil drawings for people. So of their families and pets, usually as gifts. And I absolutely loved that. But on the side, I did colourful pet illustrations in watercolour. And I feel like I have a more colourful personality than black and white. So I was always trying to find something to do in colour.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just did that.
Okay. You know, normal people, Charlotte, they study for years to do this, but you didn't.
No, I study medical science and I did art as a hobby on the side.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That's insane. So, okay, so this is just a natural skill. Great. You've just decided that you're going to do it and you've started to do it. And I've got to tell the listener as well. So I have my hair done at her town in Glenelg. Hi, Crystal. And whenever they're washing out my colour, the basin, there are two of your beautiful like sketch drawings there, and they're so lifelike. I mean, they're amazing,
Thank
Charlotte,
you.
seriously. And I can see one behind you as well.
Yeah. This one doesn't have any color on it, but yeah, this is a piece that I created for an expo that I did a few years ago.
It's amazing. But your illustrations, watercolors at weddings are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So how do you capture each guest's personality? Like, what is the process that you go through at a wedding?
Yeah, so I'll usually set up and start taking photos of the guests. And then from those photos, I'll create an illustration of them. So it's based on what they're wearing, their accessories, how their hair's done. And that's exactly what I'll paint on the drawing for them.
So if I'm a guest, you're just walking up to me before the ceremony or after?
Yeah, so I usually set up before the ceremony now. So as guests arrive, if I'm in a location near the ceremony, they might see me at my table and come up, read the instructions, and have their photo taken. Or I might go around with an example and be like, "Hi, I'm doing this today. Would you like me to take your photo?" And take photos of everyone, go back and illustrate them.
Wow. Do you find, a good reaction
Very
from the
good
guests?
reaction.
Do
Yeah.
they get it? Because this gorgeous girl comes up, goes, "Hi, I'd like to take a photo of you because I'm going to paint you." I can
Yes.
imagine if I were a couple of champagnes in, I'd be like, "What?
Yeah,
What?
some
What?"
people are like, what? Sorry? And then they just have their photo taken anyway. Some of the younger people that have probably seen it online are like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen this. Like, I'm so excited." And then they'll explain. But usually when people see that
to,
illustration,
to the Gen Xers who don't have a clue
yeah.
what's going on. Great.
And they see
Yeah.
the finished product and they're like, "Oh, that's what you're doing." And then it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing they're the ones also going, "Have you chatted with Charlotte? Have you gotten your photo taken?" So it's
Yeah.
the sort of word of mouth thing around the wedding.
Yeah.
Was also wondering, though, Charlotte, how do you know that you've painted everyone at the wedding?
So I know how many guests are attending before I go, so I know how many to expect. Usually people come up to me, so if they haven't come up to me on the night, then they won't get painted. Because I don't know who's with who or who to paint.
Yeah.
So they just come up to me. Usually the celebrant at the end of the wedding or the MC will mention that I'm there and what I'm doing
Right.
and to make sure to have their photo taken before a certain time and then they'll get painted.
I mean, you're doing volume here. You're doing a massive volume of, roughly how many guests would you be painting at a wedding?
I paint about 20 guests per hour, and most weddings for me are around that 100 guest mark. So I'll be there for 5 hours painting. Yeah,
That's a production line.
it is.
That's amazing. How do you do that? Like, yeah, how do you make that happen in time?
Yeah, so I have my own distinctive style. So when I'm drawing it, just the positions and the poses all come naturally to me, and I just paint everyone the same, and then just change out their outfits and accessories and hair, skin color, everything.
Yeah. And so that's how it makes it more personal, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah.
Would you have like couples pose together or just people on their own? Does that change?
Yeah, so usually people are attending weddings as a couple. So a lot of the paintings that I do are of couples, but I can do solo portraits or family portraits. I usually try to not do groups of people because I can't do, there was 4 people in a group, I can't do 4 duplicates because then that will eat into
Right.
time for other people's portraits.
Of course.
But if I'm told beforehand, I can do groups.
And what about your setup? Like you mentioned a little bit earlier, about your little table and you've got instructions there. Like I'm guessing this is becoming, because how long have you been doing this now for?
A little bit over a year, I think.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah,
Oh, it
time has
seems like you're
flown.
everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, I did about 55 events in my first year, so it might be only a year, but I've done a lot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've got systems. You've got
Yeah.
processes. Can you explain a little bit to the listener like what your setup looks like?
Yeah. So usually it's just a large table with a cloth. I'll have a sign on there saying what I'm doing, how it works, and then a little example. And then that's it. I'll just bring the paints and the materials with me, and that's all I have on the day. And then eventually the table would fill up with lots of little illustrations and look more colourful. And then, yeah, that's basically the setup. It's very simple.
How do you find, your couples who have actually hired you and the wedding guests, like how do you find they react to the illustrations you're saying, they're starting to add up on the table there as you're finishing them?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing they're coming back after they've grabbed a drink or two. How do they respond to you?
They love it. They come up and they're like, "Oh my god, look, that's me," or they're like, "Oh, that's mum, that's dad," or "This is the couple, like, how cute is it?" And the couples love it too. They come up and have their photo taken. They're the VIPs, so they definitely get one.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, they can also I've had them come up and point out their family and friends and deliver it to them and be like, "Look, it's you." And yeah, it's just
Oh,
really nice interaction.
yeah. So the couple's loving you, the guests are loving you. I'm guessing word of mouth is excellent
Yeah.
as well. If you had a sweary, chocolate-addicted, wine-sipping fairy godmother who could help you with your wedding planning, what would you wish for? Perhaps no more waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, wondering what you've forgotten, or fretting about your RSVPs. Maybe no more spreadsheets or post-it notes or endless to-do lists. Well, I can help you with all of that. Websites is an Australian wedding website builder, guest management software, and wedding project planner all in one. Why is this such a game changer for you? Well, imagine everything to do with your wedding being in one place, updated in real time in the cloud, shareable to anyone else that's helping you, password protected for your guests, with notifications to tell you what needs to be done next and by when. It's amazing, right? I love how easy websites is to set up and use and how there are no ads on the platform yelling at you to spend more money on your wedding. To get started on your very own free wedding website, just head to wedsites.com. That's WEDSITES.com and enter the code UNbridelyPod, that's Unbridely POD, to get 10% off their paid planning tools. The link is in the show notes. Have you heard about any wedding guests or any of your couples who have used their little watercolour portraits for anything afterwards?
Yeah, so it was a month or two ago. I had my partner work with me as an assistant for a wedding, and he bumped into an old school friend there. And I had illustrated him and his partner and his parents. And then I heard a few weeks later after the event through my partner that the couple had their illustration in a frame and that his parents also had it framed. And yeah, it was really cute. So yeah.
That must feel so good though.
Yeah, it's nice, yeah, that they really like the illustration so much that they'll frame it and put it somewhere special in their home to remember the day by.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that is a true gift. That's so much more than just a wedding favour, right?
Yeah, it's very special. Very sentimental.
Yeah, exactly. And so personal, because what are some couples giving? They're giving, you know, beer cozies, bottle openers, cookies,
Yeah.
things like that, maybe a little bottle of alcohol or something cute. But really, there's nothing more personal than a portrait.
Yeah, I worked in the hospitality industry as well for weddings a few years back. And these favors are really cute, the cookies and everything, they're really nice. But I did find at the end of the wedding when we were cleaning up, so many of them got left behind and would have to throw them away. And it just felt like
Yeah.
such a waste that the couple had gone to this effort to pay for and organize these favors that just get left behind at the end of the day. Just really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you don't leave behind a picture of yourself.
No, everyone's
You
very
take
excited.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It appeals to all of us
Yeah.
because we like ourselves a lot and yeah, it's really, really smart. And I'm guessing you're also, you know, a visual element to the wedding, the post ceremony drinks and everything. You just sitting there blissfully going about your business.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it really adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah, it does, especially during that cocktail hour when the couple are off having their photos taken or family photos. The guests can mingle, and I'm a bit of a talking point and a bit of entertainment for people to come up and have something to do and talk about, and then come back later, and yeah, everybody enjoys it.
So, Charlotte, what advice would you give couples who are thinking about perhaps booking in an illustrator like you for their wedding?
Yeah, just do it. You won't regret it. It's a bit of fun. And if there was any advice to give from the couples to their guests, is dress to impress,
Ah,
because that's make the best illustrations with all the flowery dresses, and great outfits make great illustrations.
right, right, of course, because you're
Yeah,
working with watercolour and you really want those little portraits to be distinctive.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. But Charlotte, also, I know because you're all over social media at the moment, that you're in very high demand. And is it true? Have you really been booked out for this year already?
Pretty much, yeah. There are very limited dates left, like weekend dates for even the end of this year. So even the start of 2026 is starting to get a little bit busy.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I'm very in demand.
Okay. So, dear listener, if you're liking the sound of Charlotte and what she does, be quick, I guess, is the message.
Yeah.
But also, I'm wondering, are there, obviously not as good as you, Charlotte, but are there other people who do similar things around Australia, around the world?
Yeah, there's a lot around the world, and across Australia, there's plenty of us. And we all have our own like distinctive styles, which makes us all really unique and special. There's a really nice community of us, and I reach out to other illustrators across the country and talk about what we're getting up to or what materials we're using or what works best. It's just a really nice community of us all.
That's a really good support base too.
Yeah.
And so, would you consider going elsewhere? Like, if someone did contact you, Charlotte, and say, can you make it overseas? Can you make it in Victoria? Like, are you willing to travel?
Yeah. So I'm willing to travel, and I have already traveled a little bit. I traveled to the Gold Coast and did a wedding at Summer Grove across the New South Wales border, which was really exciting back in October. I've done a couple in Sydney. And I've got a few in Melbourne coming up in the next month or two, which is exciting. And then June and July this year, I've got 6 across Europe.
Wow.
So France, Germany, and Italy, which I'm really excited for.
That's amazing. So that's this year. And would you be open to overseas in 2026?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing the same for Europe in our winter months here. So summer over there, June and July in Europe again for illustrations. So that's something I'm considering at the moment, is offering that again. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just want to help the listener as well because you're in such high demand, Charlotte. There's no surprise why. But if a couple's looking to get an illustrator and maybe they can't book you in, what are the sort of things do you think couples should be looking for
Yeah.
in a good illustrator that's, I guess, not going to let them down?
Yeah. So everyone has their own distinct styles. You could pick someone based on their style, based on how you vibe with their personality. But the most important thing is their work ethic and how hard they can work on the day, how much they can do on the day, and just
Mm.
their passion for it really, if they're going to deliver well.
I would imagine reviews and testimonials and things are really important.
Yeah, definitely. And experience as well. I know if you're just starting out, it's hard, but after a few events, you definitely learn very quickly the things that do and don't work. And
Yes.
yeah, just having a great personality works for it too. Even if something goes wrong on a wedding day, which pretty much happens all the time, if you can, have the mindset of just doing the best you can for your couples on the day, everyone just works at their best and gives it their best shot.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So, so true, Charlotte. Yeah. At least 50% of what we do is being able to communicate and be a decent person about it.
Yeah.
But your skills, obviously, are absolutely gorgeous. Would love the listener to be able to see some of your work. And I can put some up on Instagram on Unbridely, but where can people find you?
Yeah, so Instagram, I post a lot of reels based on all the events I go to and behind the scenes. But then I also have a website as well where you can find me, which is my name, charlottebeddoesillustration.com. So yeah, big presence online at the moment.
Yes. I can't open my phone without finding you. But yeah, dear listener, I'll put the links, of course, to how you can find Charlotte in the show notes of the episode. And yeah, I wanted to ask you, Charlotte, I mean, you're doing all this amazing stuff. You're going overseas to Europe. Sure, why not? What's next for you?
I just want to keep doing this. I love it. Hopefully, yeah, more and more people love the idea of guest illustrations at their weddings, and it just becomes something I can do forever. I love that. But I'm also doing illustrations for people's invitations and telling their love story through illustration. So that's something that could take me somewhere in the future, possibly. So something I'm enjoying on the side at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I know you've got a really busy week ahead, so I want to, let you go, let you run, Charlotte. And thank you so much for having a chat with us. I hope you have an amazing 2025 with all your bookings.
Thank you.
And yeah, hopefully you can do this for a really long time.
I hope so.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Thanks so much for your time, Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me, Camille.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridely podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.